Hello, welcome to your academy. At your academy today in this lecture, we will be dealing with an important essay from Ferdinand de Saussure titled as The Object of Study. Ferdinand de Saussure is one of the important structuralist critic, are linguistic, are a semiologist. He is an important literary theorist from the 20th century. We have dealt with uh, two important lectures on structuralism in context of Ferdinand de Saussure, and you can go back to those lectures, and we'll give the link at the top of this video, and you can refer to those lectures. And in those lectures, we have also dealt with a bit of the the life and times of Ferdinand de Saussure. However, in this particular lecture, we will not be dealing with who Ferdinand de Saussure was, what were his achievements. We will focus mostly upon the text, the object of study. But before we take up the contents of this particular essay, the object of study, it is very important for you and for everyone to know that why did Ferdinand de Saussure write this essay, The Object of Study. And if you see the title, this title seems incomplete in nature. The object of study. What object of study? The object of which study? Would be the questions that can come up in our mind. That what is actually Ferdinand de Saussure saying through this particular title. So in order to understand this title, you need to understand a bit or know a bit about Ferdinand de Saussure. And if you know that Ferdinand de Saussure was a linguistic, he was a writer, a philosopher who was very much interested in understanding the language, the structure of language, and the function of linguistics. So you will then understand the context of this particular title. So the context of this title is that Ferdinand de Saussure is here talking about the object of study of linguistics or of a linguist. If there is a linguist, what is the object of his study? And in this particular essay, which is a very short essay of 8-9 pages, in this essay he will bring forth the complexities that are there in language. Though towards the end of his theory of language or science, you will find that in structuralism, Ferdinand de Saussure will reduce language to a very simple phenomenon or a very simple way of communication. But in this particular essay, initially he will tell you about the complexities that are there in language, the complexities that are there in the mode of communication that human beings have. And after discussing all those problems and communications, he will give a solution to it, and the solution would be studying the linguistic structure. And then he will come to science, and eventually he will tell us that if language is looked upon as a complete whole, as a part of a proper structure, then it becomes easy to comprehend, or we can understand the function of language easily. But if it is alienated from this structure, kept away from this structure, and if we try to understand and analyze language independently, then it becomes very difficult. So if you go through this essay, you will find that he begins this essay with a question. And the question is, what is the study of object for linguistics or linguistic structures? Now when it comes to the linguistics, he says that it is very difficult for a person to decide the study of object. You understand the study of object? That which we know we will study. Let me give you an example to understand this. For example, the object of study of botany would be plants, of biology would be animals, of computer sciences would be technology, of mathematics would be equations and theorems and other things. The statistics will deal with statistics. So we know in advance, if we choose a particular discipline, botany, chemistry, physics, astronomy, or whatever it be, we know beforehand, in advance, that our object of study is this. But when it comes to the linguistics, Ferdinand de Saussure says that we do not know the object of study. What are we studying? How are we studying? We don't know. Why is there this problem in linguistics? Why do we have difficulty in understanding the object of study in linguistics? Here, to elaborate upon this question or upon this answer, Ferdinand de Saussure would give you an example of a word. Say, for example, he gives the example of the word naked. Now, if you utter this word naked somewhere, at first you will think that there is no complexity with this word. But then, if you are a linguist, and if you want to study this word in detail, once you go into the in-depth analysis of this word, the problems will start appearing in there, and you will suddenly realize that this word naked is not that simple to understand, because before it comes to us, it goes through almost 3 different forms or 3 different stages. For example, initially there would be this word, this sound that strikes your ears, naked. But then the sound that strikes your ear, naked, comes from a vocal cord of a person. And that vocal cord of the person through which he utters this particular sound has got a different level of intonation, a different tune system. So there would be tune also associated with this particular word naked, and there would also be derivative associated with this word naked, and there would be, say for example, the social context also associated with this word naked. By social context, I mean, where is this word being used? The word naked, is it used in a country like India, for example, or in a particular village? If there you use this word naked in a particular way, people will react in a particular fashion. But if you utter the same word, say for example in England or in other states, the reaction of the people towards this word naked would be different. So what Ferdinand de Saussure says, that a word, it could be very simple at first instance, but it cannot be separated from other things. For example, there are physiological things. By physiological things, I mean the ear, which is there when we utter a word. Say, for example, I uttered the word naked. So, as I uttered, I used the psychological part of my myself, that is my brain. This idea came in my mind, so that was psychological. Then I used physiological, used vocal cords, to utter this word. And as I uttered this word, it struck your ears. As it struck your ears, it was again physiological. So in understanding this word from your perspective, you will have to see to it, how did I utter this word at first place? What was my, attitude? What was my tune? How was my expression? And in which state or in which, area did I utter? In which social context, social setup did I utter this word? So Ferdinand de Saussure says, there are so many things which get added to a word once it is uttered. So now how can we decide what is the object of study? You cannot decide the object of study when this word is not uttered. Because once we utter this word, there are different objects of study. Now you start, coming to know about the objects of study. For example, you may study the tune. Now that comes the first object of study. You may try to analyze the vocal cords. You will try to analyze the ears, the hearing capability of a person. You would try to analyze the expression of a person. You would try to analyze the derivative. You will try to analyze the cultural context of this word, but only after it has been uttered. So since in language the problem is that we do not have a pre-decided object about the words or sentences. Therefore, Ferdinand de Saussure says in this essay that the point of the object of a study in language comes after we have made the point of view. That is, after we have uttered. Since we can only get the object of study only after we have uttered a sentence, that is why the object of study for a linguist is very difficult.